Hello everybody, I am Alpha, doing a little video for you today. This is Nerf Around the Globe. This video is made to help you understand the differences between all the different countries in all of the lands of Nerf. The idea being that you can watch each of these videos made by a few different Nerfers, such as Flux, Spectre, and me, and that way you can understand the differences between each area in the nerfing community. This will be great. We're going to add more and more members as time goes by. We're going to add more and more videos. There will be a playlist along with the links to these guys down below, and this is going to be great. So let's get started. What darts and dart size are the most common? Well, full lengths in the lower FPS, of course. Half lengths for the higher FPS. Most of the time in your standard games, 130 to 150 FPS, you do see a lot of waffle tip darts as they tend to work in a lot of uses. Most places do also allow half darts, but generally on the lower FPS you do see a lot more use of full length darts due to the higher number of stock blasters and all those sorts of things. Once you get to the higher FPS though, they trade places with the short darts, such as the worker darts, ACC, also known as sweet oranges, and a couple other very nice darts being used up in the higher FPS levels. What type of blaster is the most prominent? Well, that would have to be the Springer. The Springer usually is more common initially due to its cheapness and how come you don't need to use batteries, you don't need to buy anything extra, just get the Springer and you're good to go. However, there are still plenty of flower wheels. It goes to about a 60-40% balance. So 60% goes to Springers, 40% goes to flower wheels. There are some places this is not the case. There are a lot of flower wheel users over at the Western Australia Club. I think that's because of the Flower of the World group, but you never know. The blasters are of all shapes and sizes. As you go up the FPS levels, you actually get more variation. At the lower FPS levels, HPA is going to be absolutely overkill. But at higher FPS, HPA becomes more prevalent, and you can see more and more examples of that the higher FPS you go, as Springers and Flowers struggle to keep up with the higher FPS without breaking or damaging stuff. Mods or no mods? That is a tough question because it does vary from place to place. Generally, you will see a few people on the field playing with mods at the lower FPS, but there is still plenty of players that use stock blasters, and that is perfectly fine. Stock blasters, as long as they work, then they're fine to use. Once you get to the higher FPS limits, past 150, you get a lot less stock blasters as they become less and less useful, essentially. But the mods done are as much out of necessity as they are out of fun. Some people do stock mods so that then stock isn't always bending or breaking on them. Some people have made battery doors out of pieces they've had lying around the house. Some people have needed to make sure they could use something with only one arm, so they've modified their blaster for that. You see plenty of mods here in Australia. Homemades or kits? Well, you see about an even amount of each. The homemade parts are very, very well made, at least most of the time. You see a lot of PVC builds, you see a lot of brass, you see a lot of, well, a bit of everything actually. We see blasters that people have strapped on using sheet metal, and it is all quite amazing. On the other hand of the kits, you see plenty of them as well. A lot of nerfers either end up swapping to one or the other. They try one, they feel that they don't like it, they aren't suited to it, or they just plain can't do it. For example, homemade, some people don't have the space. Kits, some people don't enjoy them as much, such as myself. I still use them because they are very easy to make, well, easy to get, and very easy for a quick upgrade. So they're great for loner blasters, for example. You don't have to put as much time into it, and they usually work great, but you still see about an even amount of each. Do different type of ammo do different type of things? Well, yes. In a lot of wars, Mega pierces shields, and some wars it even breaks them. Demolisher rockets and the above sizes, Titan and all those, we usually destroy the shields and the user, and it is quite amazing the different rule sets that you can see around here. For example, at our local wars, we have a rule set where demolish rockets instantly lose all lives if you were doing a multi-life game. Field type and sizes. Well, you see a lot of different field types. So one field locally is about 30 meters in length, 15 wide, and it is quite a nice field size. But along with that, you get bigger fields such as paintball fields. You see people out in the bush, out in a gold mine even. There's some really cool spots out there to do Nerf wars. There are wars inside, of course. Those are really, really fun. A lot less room to move, so you have to play differently. Any special game modes? There are a few. Some involving trucks, actually. One of them you can probably see in an MTB video. The Protect the Package, as I like to call it. It's got a few other names, but that's what I like to call it. It is essentially getting something from one side of the map to the other without the person holding it getting tagged and stopped. There is also possession, where you need to grab something, move it across the field slowly until it reaches the other side. First one to reach the other side wins. When the person gets tagged that's holding it, you have to swap sides and start moving back the other way. Quite fun. And along with that, we do Hunger Games, which is essentially just, well, if you've seen the movie, you know what that is. A bunch of blasters in the middle, everyone circles around it, gets ready, charges at it, and, well, those that make it out with a blaster hopefully survive. You don't have much time after the initial bell rings before you're allowed to fire, so that is quite a crazy game mode. You see a couple pile-ups in that one, actually. Probably not the best idea to do it, but, oh well, it's fun. FPS limits range from 130 to absurdity. So 130 FPS is around the level used for any close-in games, used for the beginner level games, so people that aren't into modding, all those sorts of things, that is what it is used for. 150 FPS is the next step up from that. Modders can start to show off their stuff a little bit more, but stock blasters still play a pivotal role in that. Then next up we have 200 FPS. The 200 FPS games are really, really fun. You will have darts flying past your head nice and fast, but you will not get too... It will not scare off any newcomers. It's that right level that modders are going to do really well, but it won't be so high that it'll frighten off new people, even if it is indoors. It's so fun at 200 FPS. Then we start going into the levels of absurdity. The place like Iron Rush, they do it at 250 FPS, which is quite nice. The NIC Wars do it at 300. So these are more competitive game modes, and they rely a lot more on HPA and all that sort of thing than most other places do. But then we have the one that I was calling absurdity earlier. It doesn't have an FPS limit. Instead, it has minimum engagement distances. These guys play in massive areas with bushes and mountains and everything. Those are absurd, but they are still extremely, extremely fun. Any legal issues? Yeah, there were some. So, for example, back in the old days, people didn't know not to paint their blasters black, so there were a few issues with that. There is a video on that, as you probably saw a while back. And playing in local parks, some people were a bit concerned if they saw paintball bottles being used and attached, even though they're not going to harm anyone. People do still get a little bit concerned, so those games did have to move to paintball parks that are out of town, where not so many people are, and if they are, they're legally allowed to be there. Another thing is avoided by in public parks, making it very clear exactly what they're doing, making sure to tell the proper authorities, making sure that everything is checked and rechecked for safety and all those sorts of things. So there are very easy ways to avoid getting legal issues, but there are still some, of course. Are shields and melee used, and if they are, what rules do they use? So, Shields are very, very fun. They're a good part of gameplay. A lot of places use a certain rule with shields. So one place uses you can only use pistols with shields. So nothing flywheel that can just spray down the range, nothing mag fed, has to be revolver at max, and not the big 40 round revolver. The pistol sized revolvers, and they can often only be tagged out by certain types of darts, such as Mega or Demolition Missiles or Titan Rockets, although you don't see the Titan Rockets all that much anymore. The advantage of shields is that you can press down enemies with almost no effort. So often you'll have a teammate with a shield blocking a user with a flywheel blaster, and that way they can just stand there and spray all day. And there are counters to that. Well-placed shots can instantly end shield users. A grenade and shield users, whatever you need, will end shield users, but it is a pivotal part of gameplay, and they are quite fun. Moving on from that point is melee. Yes, in most places melee weapons are allowed, but they do come with a few rules, such as they have to be soft, they cannot have any sharp tips whatsoever. If you do have any, you will be banned. And, well, not banned. That weapon will be banned. You won't be banned. Unless you deliberately do it. Anyway, moving on. What's the culture like? Well, the culture is quite amazing. People are all very nice. I went to a war, and my blaster was a bit over the FPS limit, so they let me one of their blasters. They are all willing to help with your mods. They may be a bit nuts at times. They may slap you around a little bit, but all in all, 99% of the people in the Nerf community in Australia are a really nice bunch, and I am so happy to be I'm so proud to be a part of it. And I would like to thank all the others for putting in these videos, whether in the past or in the future. And if I've gotten anything wrong, please do let me know. I may do a revision of this in the future if anything changes. So please do let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you all next time. What's the culture like? Well, the culture is quite amazing. People are all very nice. I went to a war, and my blaster was a bit over the FPS limit, so they let me one of their blasters. They are all willing to help with your mods. They may be a bit nuts at times. They may slap you around a little bit, but all in all, 99% of the people in the Nerf community in Australia are a really nice bunch, and I am so happy to be I'm so proud to be a part of it. And I would like to thank all the others for putting in these videos, whether in the past or in the future. And if I've gotten anything wrong, please do let me know. I may do a revision of this in the future if anything changes. So please do let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you all next time.